This is Rosen Institute's Your Law Firm, where Ned Days and Lee Rosen cover management, marketing, finance, and new technologies for building the practice you deserve. Rosen Institute members received this episode early, as well as exclusive segments on outsourcing and an answer to a member question about how to reframe a vision that didn't quite come to fruition. Get access to everything you're missing at roseninstitute.com/join. Here's Ned Days.
It's time for your tech tip. I realize that I go a little overboard with the advice about, oh my gosh, do you realize AI can do real work now? And I tend to throw out a lot of acronyms and talk about how you should read a bunch of documentation, and a lot of it probably comes across like an over-caffeinated and possibly over-medicated preteen trying to explain what's so interesting and important about his vinyl figurine collection. And much like my own parents, you are probably wondering, why doesn't he get a normal hobby like talking to girls or recreational drugs? But I persist because I still see a lot of attorneys, even the ones who are quote-unquote using AI a lot, just popping open a new chat and typing, "Draft me an estate plan," or toss in a document with a client's name and bank account number to have it fill in a form and think that they are living in the future, which tells me I'm not doing a great job of conveying the message. Thankfully, Anthropic, the team behind the Claude AI service, has made it a little more concrete than I have. A little less hyperactive screeching about squishmallows and croc gibbets, and more of a professional show don't tell approach. Now, Anthropic made waves a few months ago when they released the first version of their legal plugin for Claude Cowork. It was interesting, but not exactly plug and play. It required editing hidden files and doing a lot of configuration. I did a live demo of it when it came out, and it honestly felt a bit like when somebody asks if you want to watch a movie and then plugs in a 12-foot HDMI cable from his laptop into the television to screen a bootleg he pirated on Telegram. The new Claude Code legal plugins have just been released and offer a much more seamless and practical example of what using an LLM platform to manage and create data and information from the software you're already using looks like in the real world. The plugin has a bunch of pre-built skills for different practice areas. They have added a lot of connectors for more legal-specific apps, and you can now have it do a setup interview with you so that you can take about 10 minutes to share templates, information about your practice and your cases, and have it guide the output from there. Now, it would be great if they just put the legal plugins in Claude by default, but you have to add a custom plugin marketplace. I will include a link to it. The easiest way is just to paste that link into a Claude Cowork chat and ask it how to install them. I would walk you through the steps, but again, it will come across like an unemployed 30-year-old explaining the difference between anime and manga. The bottom line is that you can now hook up services like Ironclad and DocuSign for contract management and e-signature, Box, NetDocuments, and iManage for document storage, tracking, and workflows, Concilio, Everlaw, Thomson Reuters CoCounsel, Harvey, and a bunch of other services for matter, litigation, and drafting functionality, Trellis for access to court filings, Court Listener, Pacer dockets, and a lot of other services that you actually need to get real work done. And then just let it loose to draft a demand letter, create a deposition prep, draft an employment policy, and a bunch of other cool stuff. Now, in years past, if you were particularly driven or tech-focused, you could have built automations in tools like Zapier that connected some of these pieces, but they were very rigid. You had to set up an exact pathway that ran exactly the same way every single time. But today, we can incorporate case law, drafting, client data, research, e-signature, and a lot more into repeatable and automated AI workflows that assemble themselves in real time based on us just telling them what to do in natural language. Now, the obvious elephant in the room is the lack of direct connections for popular practice management platforms like Clio, Practice Panther, and Smokeball. I mean, this AI thing is probably a fad, so it's smart to stay on the sidelines for now. The good news is that you can work around that. The automation platform Zapier has allowed you to build workflows with these tools for years, and they now offer what they call an MCP builder that lets you hook up those practice management tools in a way that you can access them inside your AI platform of choice. So it's an extra step for now, but it's not a big one. So if you are a Claude user, I want you to go try this. Install the plugins, connect some of the services, just do some experimenting to see what this looks like. What I really hope is that this is the light bulb moment. If up until now, you have just been using AI like a glorified spell checker or drafting assistant that starts everything from scratch each time. And it's important to remember nothing about this is magical or even that new. You could have done most of this months ago. I have talked about ways to connect services and data sources once or twice myself, but it probably sounded like me trying to explain why my action figure collection is better than Tommy's action figure collection. I think what Anthropic has done makes it a lot more obvious what you can do. Now, it's still going to require configuration and setup, but it's just a matter of having a conversation with the tool at this point and having it walk you through things and telling it what to do to revise and change. But it means that the next time you ask it to draft an agreement or a plan or a contract, it knows what client you are talking about based on what folder you're in. It pulls the details from your client tracking and document storage platforms, and it gets everything prepped for e-signature. Cowork already lets you execute workflows on a schedule. Claude Code lets you trigger them based on events that happen in external software. My guess is that it won't be long until that's available in Cowork too. I'm Ned Days, and that's your tech tip. And now for your moment of concise advice. About a year ago, I took the very bold step of solving a problem I had. It required me calling a professional. It was uncomfortable. I didn't know who to call or what to do. There was, you see, a large mushroom sprouting out of a piece of siding in a very inconvenient spot on my house in a weird part wall, part roof area that was difficult to get to. I did exactly nothing about this mushroom for many weeks, nothing except fret about it. That is, not because I'm lazy. I mean, I am lazy, but that wasn't the primary issue here. I didn't take action because I didn't want to know what was behind that siding. I didn't know who to call about my embarrassing mushroom issue. A roofing company, a siding company, a guy who goes to a lot of Fish and Widespread Panic concerts. I didn't know what it would cost. I didn't know if the guy I called would tell me the truth or try to talk me into a $40,000 plus project that I didn't need. Just working up the motivation, actually making the call, getting somebody to come to the house and talk to him about the solution was a big ask for a neurotic shut-in like me. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but your clients are often in a very similar position. Legal services aren't exactly the kind of thing we buy to treat ourselves. We are not in the business of selling fancy clothes or jewelry or nice cars. Spending money on a lawyer is like buying new tires or a new roof or having a mushroom extracted from the side of your house. Nobody gets a raise and thinks, you know what, I am going to buy myself some litigation. I think I've earned it. Your clients generally have a problem they would rather they did not have. They picked up the phone to call a stranger about it, which was difficult enough, and then they sat across from you and described the worst situation in their life to somebody they met 15 minutes ago, and now they are back in their car driving home thinking the same thing about their issue as I did about that ghastly mushroom. I should do something about this, and I really, really don't want to. So the first point I want to get across is that the people who came in to see you and did not hire you on the spot are not just outright rejecting you. Most of them aren't even making a conscious decision at all, really. Talking to you was all they could muster for the week regarding this issue. They are crawling back into their little hidey hole of avoidance, and unless somebody breaks them out of it, they are going to stay there until the problem gets so bad that they panic and hire whoever is most convenient, or whoever is the cheapest, or the one who happened to send a follow-up email the morning they finally cracked. And that is not the best lawyer for them. You are the best lawyer for them, obviously. So if you are sitting there waiting for these people to call you back, you are abandoning them. They need somebody to drive the process because they have already proven they can't do it themselves. That is why they came to see you in the first place. So stop feeling weird about following up. Following up is your job. It is the only tool that you have that indicates you actually want to help with this. Silence from you to an anxious person just confirms their fears that they called the wrong person, or they are not important, or you are secretly judging them for not being a fun guy. You see what I did there? Now, a lot of the practices I have worked with understand that they should be following up with potential clients, but they have no follow-up system at all. They have good intentions. There's a vague sense that somebody should probably do something. Now, I think my paralegal is supposed to email them a week after, but I don't know if that's actually happening. I've been meaning to create a follow-up email sequence, but I've just been busy. All of the usual excuses. I know that you don't have time to text somebody back about a consultation. You have very important work to do, like making polymarket bets about what animals the president will mention during a press conference this month. I completely understand, but at the very least, you need a system in place and somebody or something to do it for you. This is exactly the kind of work that your admin or intake person or whoever is on your team that's closest to the prospect should be executing. Your job, aside from adding things to your eBay watch list and betting on whether there will be a hantavirus outbreak this year, is to design the system and review what is going out. Their job is to execute it. And guess what? You can get your favorite LLM to be your little client outreach lackey. Get your AI meeting assistant to think up a handful of brief messages to check in with enough detail about the client that seems like you were actually paying attention. Or drop your consult notes into ChatGPT or Claude and ask it to draft a follow-up referencing a couple of specific facts that the prospect mentioned. Your practice management system or marketing automation system probably lets you set up a series of automated scheduled SMS messages or email messages. If you are really keen, you can hook all of that up with something like Zapier and have it all happen automatically. The call ends, 4 check-in messages are drafted automatically, they get piped into the sequence, and your admin double checks to make sure that there's nothing too weird in there. Now, you probably have a good idea for what kind of timeline works for your clients. Here is a rough outline if you need a little help. A couple of hours after the consult, send a personal note. Reference something specific they said. Oh, I was thinking about what you mentioned regarding your son's terrible mushroom problem, and here's that article I told you about. 3 days or so after the consult, send them some useful resource of some kind, a guide or an article or a short explainer video on whatever part of their situation seemed to worry them the most. You don't have to be pushy or ask for a decision. You are just being helpful and building that sweet, sweet credibility. 1 week afterward, check in with a question. Have you had a chance to think about whether or not you want to file before the end of the month? Something specific to their decision indicating what the next step is and that you are ready to move the ball forward. The last thing you want to say, and this goes for any meeting with the potential client, is, so what do you want to do? They are coming to you for answers. You are the pro. I have a mushroom the size of my head growing out of the side of my house. If I knew what I wanted to do, I would have done it already. Somewhere around day 12 to 14, share an insight or a story of some kind. You know, I had a client a few years ago in a similar spot, mushroom house, kind of awkward in a vaguely threatening way, and the thing that surprised me the most was how quickly things moved once we got started. Just wanted to pass that along in case it helps. Again, you don't need to feel like you are selling. You are showing them that you have been here before and the world did not end. It is totally normal to have a mushroom growing out of the side of your house. Now, at some point, you do have to let them go, like flinging a dead mouse into your neighbor's yard so that you don't have to take it to the trash. Somewhere around week 3, ask what the status is. Have they found somebody else? Is the timing not right? If they have gone with somebody else, ask why. Get that data point. Maybe your mushroom game is weak. It's time to step it up. Can I ask what the firm you hired did that we didn't? Just listen. You don't need to defend yourself or explain anything. Don't try to rescue the sale. Just take notes. Now, whether it's calls, texts, emails, you're smart. You can figure out which one is most appropriate for your clients. What is most important here is to track what happens. Before you launch anything, write down where you are right now. How many consults you had last month, how many of those people hired you, how many went somewhere else if you know that, and how many ghosted you entirely. That is our base case. And once the system is running, track the same numbers every month going forward. Use any feedback you get to adjust to the system. That conversion rate of what percentage of consults become clients is the number you really want to see move in the next 30 to 60 days. So if you have a system, humor me and go check just to make sure it is working and whoever is supposed to be reaching out to potential clients is actually doing it. If you don't, get one started today. Your clients need help and guidance and to know that they called the right place. They need you to take them by their clammy little hand and guide them through the dangerous mushroom jungle. You are not annoying them by following up. You are lending them the strength to do something they have been resisting for way too long. That is your moment of concise advice. Wrapping up from Jacksonville, thank you for joining us today. Never forget that what you are doing is important work. Small, consistent steps focusing on marketing, management, and technology are how we build better firms. And you are 1 week closer to the practice you deserve. Until next time, I'm Ned Days.
Thanks for listening to Your Law Firm. Subscribe to the Friday File at roseninstitute.com and join thousands of other lawyers who are working on instead of in their businesses. You'll find safe, successful, actionable approaches for transforming your practice. Join us today at roseninstitute.com.